Oh, I should get my. Where are you? Oh, there you are. How are you? Whoops, you can't. Oh, yes, you can hear me.
Oh, there we go. It works. Okay.
Hi. What's the binge factor?
Whoa.
Oh, that's the new feature brand.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that your husband moaning in the background? What have you been doing?
No. He's we were supposed to be away this weekend in New Jersey for a friend's daughter's bar mitzvah. And so Tom was just, they canceled everything. Everything's canceled, but we were just saying hi to everybody.
Take care.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh.
So, let's see. Talk about the recipe. Talk about going viral. Isn't it so weird going viral? We chose this weeks ago. We had no idea.
Yep, definitely.
And then I want to talk about towards the end, like now that we're shifting, that you need to be, if you want to stay in business, you've got to get online for the next 2 to 3 months. I would say 3 to 6.
Yeah.
So, is your hair up? Your hair's up.
My hair's up. It's nasty. My hair's nasty.
Yeah, so's mine.
I'm in the midst of tax hell, so oh my god, and now I have like poppy seeds in my teeth. Wow. I guess I have an HD camera now. I can see it that clearly. All I'm getting is your nose, by the way.
Oh, I hate this new. Okay.
There you go.
I'm not crazy. I spent all this money on a new computer. I'm trying it backwards this week because for some reason this computer was blocking a lot of stuff. So
well, it looks good.
Okay, that's good. So let's go. And then we have to figure out next week how we're going to do this next week. Sometime this week.
Oh, because of Hanny.
Yeah, because of Hanny, but also because I am only going to be on for half the time because I have the interview on the radio station.
Right, no problem. I'll be able to jump on.
Okay, cool. So we're going to do it on Monday. Mixer. All right.
When are you moving?
End of the month. And that's a whole saga in and of itself. It'll be fun though. I found a great place.
Good.
Okay, so this is viral. Almost half of my face again.
No, it looks good here.
Going viral. New reality. Okay, let's go live. All right, it's just this thing is in my way. See, I shouldn't have to I sort of had to tilt this towards me.
You're on live.
I know. Sorry,
we can
everybody.
all see her.
Yes, yeah. I'm so sorry. I have a new, here I have to mute this over here. I have a new computer and it's not cooperating and it's really bothering me.
Yeah, well, I had to get a whole new camera because my new computer didn't had a crappier camera than my old one, which I couldn't believe. So I don't know what's with Apple. They can make a amazing, camera on your phone, but the one on your computer hasn't gotten better in a decade.
There you go.
It doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So what are we talking about today, Juliet? I don't have a drink here. I wish I did. I really wish I did because the kids have been home for one whole day and they're killing me.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You know what? I have to tell you guys. So when Utah schools, when they announced that they were out, I was in the nail salon with all of these women who were mothers, and people here, for the most part, don't drink. And I could not contain my glee. I looked at them all and I said, I bet y'all wish you drank now. Like 2 or 3 weeks without their kids. So we are talking about today, we actually are going to have an extra topic. We are talking about getting lucky and going viral. And you guys, I swear to God,
We did not.
on my mother's grave, my dad's, whatever. We did not know this. We planned this show like a month and a half ago. We plan our shows way in advance. But with all that said, if you guys go over to our Facebook page, our Marketing Monday Mixer, our good friend Chef Marie actually concocted a quarantini for us. I tried very hard to get Emergency to sponsor our show, but they insisted that their product was not to be used with vodka, so they would not do it. But Marie would. So go over and grab the recipe. It looks super good. It's got vodka and gin and orange juice and lemon juice and honey. So it's good for your immune system. I swear.
That's right. Absolutely. A quarantini. I love that.
Yes.
Maybe an order later tonight. I'm fairly certain. Yeah. So we did not plan about going viral, but I think that is so timely because this is the thing. We all think that if we get online, magic is just going to happen and all of a sudden someone's going to pick something up and it's going to go viral. So this is a good time to talk about what it really takes to build an online presence, what it really takes to be consistent and constant about it, because now is the time to start. Because if you're not online already, you better get started, because for the next month, you're not going to have much else that you can do in your business. Our business is booming right now. People have been calling up out of the blue going like, I guess it's time I should start my podcast, because, they've been sitting on the fence about it. And now they're like, oh, I have a lot more time on my hands and I can't go to any of the events that were all planned for the next 2 months. So, this is most of the events that I've got that we haven't had in the queue. The only ones that haven't been canceled are the ones that are in June so far. So they're all being pushed farther out. And because of the space limitations, some of them are being pushed even farther out than they expected. So they're rescheduling for May, but they can't get in until November in their new spaces and other things. So just keep this in mind. This could have a cascading effect throughout the year. So now's the time to get some of these business practices under your belt. But again, just like in real life, we don't want to be catching any viruses going viral. Going viral is not a strategy.
Right.
It doesn't work like that. You are methodical about how you take care of your online presence, how you build it, how you bring your content in all the time. Will something pick up? Yes, you can get something that's timely and relevant. But the reality is that I don't think it's worth the effort. So in other words, I could very easily, and I've seen a lot of podcast companies, there's one of the kids at home right now, the podcast companies out there going, oh, it's our going viral sale. It's like our virus, COVID-19 sale. You know what? We don't do that here. And the reason is because at the end of the day, we know that the small amount of traction that would take does not have the long-term relationship building we expect from our clients and the long-term relationship building we want to have with the kind of practices we want to have with our business. So for us, there's a big difference there. And so just thinking about that is, how do you want to show up online? That's the first thing that I want you all to think about today.
Yeah.
No noises, Vanessa.
Vanessa, your little clone. That is so true. But there are some things that you can do that will juice it up. And we too have been getting quite a few calls for the assessments, because guess what? Now you need a lead capture that is actually a significant lead capture that is a lead generation and lead qualification. So we too have been getting quite a few calls, but it's all about how you're going to use it. And I just want to give a shout out real quick before I let you talk again, Tracy, to Nancy, our Visu, who actually told me she was going to show up in camera ready, but I don't know if we're going to get to that tonight. And Scott Carson's here. And Scott actually has some really great stuff he's been doing. You guys, if you haven't looked at the summit tips, now's the time to do it, because the summit is a great way to sell online right now.
Right. Scott and I, we've had multiple conversations like, what's wrong with these event organizers that they haven't gone and made it virtual instantly, right? You could be instantly capturing the excitement of what we're missing out on because we didn't get to have this great event next week or next month or whatever. Speaking of coughing.
Oh my God, did you cough?
I did. I coughed. So I managed to catch a cold. I don't
Okay.
think it's COVID-19. None of us have been that sick here. But of course, I, got on a plane and came home with a cold. And which doesn't surprise me. Scott's like, it's not coronavirus. No, I'm pretty sure it's not.
No.
They would have tested me, but they didn't.
Yeah.
No, but this is what happens when I travel. Like it happens. It's the season, right? Cold and flu season happens whenever we go to events. So I'm actually kind of grateful I don't have to do a bunch of events right now. Like it gives me a whole chance to maybe get my voice to actually recover this time.
That's a good strategy. But
Right.
Scott, so Scott Summits is a great way.
Yep.
And I think Scott's taking. Oh, are we going to let him talk? Why do we always let him talk? No, I'm just kidding. Scott,
You're
talk.
funny. Yeah. Hey, everybody, just take it chill. Take it. I agree with Tracy. People are canceling in-person events. I'm like, why? You could easily do the online event. I mean, I saved one today, actually out in Irvine, a big expo. It was going to take place in 2 weeks from now. They're going to cancel because of the
Here in
outlaw.
Irvine, California? Or
Yeah.
Irvine, Texas?
Irvine,
That's
California.
Irving, Texas.
Well, you're right in my neck, right in my backyard here. Good for you.
I know.
Save
I was going to fly out there till everything hit the fan here, and so, but I just got word we were able to convince them not to cancel it, and it's now an online expo.
Perfect.
So,
Very
and they
cool.
had 400 RSVPs for it as well.
That's great. So there's alternative ways out there, and this doesn't have to be this magic. I'm gonna go viral. Like it's gonna get lucky with going online. There's a strategy to it. There's methodicalness. I mean, Scott's checklist is amazing. So you got to go out there and you got to work on these things. Now, where to get started? This is the hardest part, I think. Where do you want to get started? And my preferred method is to start where you're the most comfortable, which seems counterintuitive because mostly everyone out there will tell you to start where your customers are. And I don't disagree with that strategy if you are very highly tech capable. But if you're uncomfortable online, pick the place that you're most comfortable in. My mom is a beautiful artist. She's amazing. She's got these absolutely fabulous collage techniques and abstract art techniques. I got her on Instagram. She's totally comfortable on Instagram because it's a photographic medium. It's visual. So she resisted everything, but I finally got her to do it. And I just made it a practice of, you've got all these photographs, post one a day with a comment. And that was it. She managed to do it. And now she loves it. And she's starting to learn the social aspect of it. So go where you're very comfortable, where it fits you first. That's my number one strategy for someone who wants to start right now from nothing, where you haven't really had a big online presence. Start there because you're more likely to get into it and get involved in it if it matches your personality, matches your mindset, matches the way you like to work.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that we did today as well is we notified our free Facebook group that we were shutting down. And we now have a subscription Facebook group, low cost subscription. We're going to do weekly trainings over there. So it's something where people who want to take action steps can go. They're not going to pay our big dollar amount for the big programs, but teaching them how to get started and doing some things that they can absolutely start today. Because here's the reality, guys. This is, I'm sure you heard Tracy say, everything's canceled through about June. This is going to be like our probably 3 to 6 month reality. And right now, everybody's in shock. Everybody who didn't get online before is kind of freaking out about my business is going to go under. So just the subscription Facebook group, I think will be great. I know a lot of people who've had them. I've jumped on a little bit late. Facebook Lives regularly. Tracy and I on every Monday at 5:00. Mountain time. It's taken us a few months. We had Christmas in the way, but we built up. I mean, Scott always comes, or a few other people who always come, but we get, 400 to 600. Y'all like Tracy better, and I don't really like that. She's on the 600 end, but 400 to 600 people in and out every week. So,
yeah, and remember, they don't always show up on, look, I have coaching calls every single week. A handful of people show up to them. Mm-hmm. But but we get a high return on watching it on the replay.
Yeah.
And keep that in mind, that people want to watch it on their own schedule. They've got their own thing going on. But if you want to learn something, if you want to make progress, pay for it and show up. Like, that is what I'm going to say to you again and again, because I can tell you the ones that go through my programs for free, less than 1% of them ever succeed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So here's another thing I hear from you guys constantly. Oh, I never go back and watch the replays. Well, you got 3 weeks now to do nothing but watch replays. So
That's right.
Get on it and learn something.
That's right. Absolutely. You know, I mean, it's interesting. You can clearly see a distinction. I can see it among my client base. Those that consume the content, those that show up for the coaching call, their shows grow at a faster pace. Their communities grow at a faster pace because they are taking action and they are committed to the process. And that's here again, the going viral in the social media term. And my daughter, my 10-year-old, said something to me just absolutely brilliant the other day. She said, Mom, can you ever delete something that goes viral? And I thought, that's a brilliant concept, because you really can't delete something that goes viral. You also can't get it out of your body if you get a virus. Let me tell you, because I had H1N1 10 years ago. So it's always in your system, right? It's always there. It's always out there. You can delete it on your end, but somebody else has it saved somewhere. Somebody else has a trace of it. It's always able to be found. So what we want is, and we want the aspect of that without the nastiness, right? We want the aspect of it, of all of these little bits and pieces of us reaching out, of these little tiny pieces of content going out there, of them touching people and going in places and people saving them. But you've got to then put them together and start using them. And when you do that, now it's not viral. You've incorporated it into whatever you're going to do. Now it's not its own thing. It's its own entity. It is going to live on, and it's going to do something that is going to help your business move forward. That's our purpose for really putting out content all the time. Do we want to tip onto something trendy? The people who do that, I can tell you, because I interviewed the people from Buffer and from other social media companies and other things out there. They spend and have their full-time job is to do nothing but track the hashtags and jump on it. But what they're doing is they're rewording the same information again and again, just in a new way, to tap into the hashtags, to tap into the trendiness of something. But it's not a new information. And so keep that in mind, is like we start to like throw everything out and reinvent everything every time too. We don't need to be doing that. We need to be consistent in our message and constant in it. Maybe we need to switch up how we talk about things. Like, we have never stopped talking, Juliet, since day one about being consistent and constant with your marketing.
Yep, that's true.
That is it comes across in every single show. I guarantee you we've said those two words at least once in an episode. So why is that? Because it's what works. We just say it differently each time, right? Because our topic is different. So thinking about that is, again, this is the same thing. Viral's not a strategy. Getting lucky online is not a strategy. And I really hesitate for those of you who are not comfortable in it and do not have the right type of budgets to be paying for online ads at this stage either.
Oh, no. No.
Please don't start there if that's where you're starting. Start with content first. Make sure you've got a good platform underneath you. Make sure you get your channels going. Make sure you get the messaging moving before you start looking at spending dollars there. And Scott Carson is messaging, Facebook ads suck. And in a way they do, but they suck because most of you are not ready for them yet.
Yeah.
And so, you don't know where your target audience is. You don't have that messaging dialed in, and you can't do what you want. And the algorithms have shifted and everything's changed.
It has. It has. What does he say? $1 a day is the play after content. That's absolutely right, Scott. So if you have that podcast, if you've got a YouTube channel, whatever your blog, articles, whatever it is, make sure you're cranking them out at least once a week. I'm actually the kind of losery one with content here because I only produce my show once a week. Tracy, you have a couple, and Scott does it every day. I don't even know how you work it.
Here's the thing is, it doesn't matter if you've only got one show a week. You have 5 different versions of the content you can push out. You'll always have an image. You always have something audio. You have video. You've got different variations of ways to push it out there. So there really isn't an excuse for you, any of you, to take one piece of content and not be able to repurpose it and be able to move it out in different formats. Because remember, each person that you connect with might be a different type of learner. I'm a reader. My mom, like I mentioned, is a visual person, right? So making sure that we're touching on all of those different learning types and touch points is really important in the way that we repurpose as well. So you've got it, use it. But not just that, don't forget about the old stuff in our libraries. That's the one that drives me the most crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we think that our stuff is old. When people find them and it's brand new to them, they're like, this is amazing. It's shocking. If you've never had somebody binge listen, and if you see the new logo name, the Binge Factor, that's the new name for Feed Your Brand's Center of Influence section. So where I interview top podcasters, we call it the Binge Factor now, because we've identified it. That is the thing that people look at. Why am I going to consume all of your content? What is it that it's giving me? That's that binge factor. And when I tap into that, there is no way you aren't my solution. That in and of itself is creating viralness within your own stuff, right? Within your own content. So keeping consistent in that. For me, the binge factor is different for each show that I have, and it's purposeful. But it might be not, it might not be something as purposeful for you. So with Juliet, I know what her binge factor is. Juliet's binge factor is extreme use. Like, every single thing that she has and she teaches and she puts out there is extremely well researched, works again and again, right? Extreme use. It's been tested. Mm-hmm. And when it's not, she's forthcoming with you. She's straightforward about it. So that no nonsenseness about what's good and what's work, it's not hypey, right? So you're getting what she's telling you, this will work. You just got to start listening, right?
Are all my people listening? We're actually having, this is another thing you guys can do. Tomorrow, my coaching program, which, Scott's going to be in, hopefully he's going to show up tomorrow. I invited everyone. So whether they bought a low level product, whether they bought a high level product, I'm bringing them all into the conversation tomorrow. Here's what the new reality is. This is what, this is where we're going to go with this. So do that with your people as well. I hope I get a few new people signing up and upselling, but if I don't, at least they know what's going on for them. So invite all of those people inside of your programs to come. What time is that and how do people jump on? Yes, I can see Scott pays attention to everything I do. Yep. It is at 9 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Mountain, 11 a.m. Central, and noon Eastern. And I think you have my login, Scott. If you don't, then email me and I'll give it to you.
But is it going to be broadcast on Facebook?
I'm going to broadcast it into the Quiz to Qualify group. So I
Quiz to Qualify group. So you need to join that.
Yeah,
so,
you need to join. I think I did invite you.
So if not, she'll put some links in the Facebook chat for this when we're done here today. So she'll make sure that the links are in there, so you know how to join, you know how to connect in. But here's the thing: it's like so many of it. This is a really great time. Like, I look at this as like great time to clean house. Like I've been in. I have to be honest with you. I've been in financial hell like the last couple of days because it's business taxes are due. But I'm also working on some high level projections because I've got some big investment talks later this week. So I'm in the midst of like totally taking my business up a level. And to be honest with you, I'm like, thank goodness there's no events. Like, for me, it's a relief because I can finally get to these things that I have had on my to-do list, and I can really do a much more thorough job of it. I'm not in a panic about my business because I know my business is flowing and always has been because it's steady and consistent and constant. So my schedule freeing up is a relief. So look at things like that, but also take a look at the things that you invested in over the last year, but haven't done enough with. That's what
Mm,
Juliet's inviting you to. Look at how
mhm.
much value she's brought to all of her client base by reminding them she's here for them, by reminding them that she's got these tools and maybe they aren't using them because they got a little busy and they administered them quickly and didn't take full advantage of how they were going to put them into play, and now they can do a better job of it. So thinking about all of that, this is a good time for you to not only, if you're already online and you're already in those places, let's amp it up. Let's take it to the nth degree. Like one of the things that I intend to tackle is I intend to clean up my LinkedIn. So my LinkedIn is one of my best guest generators ever. Like I never have a problem getting guests over there. People request me. I'm always getting speaking engagements. Like it works. So there has been no reason to fix it. But I look at it and I go, that's like a stepchild. It's like so bad that I have like not fixed it. It's not even my most accurate title. And the description's terrible. And I thought, oh, I need to really fix that. It hasn't hurt anything, but that doesn't mean that it's right for my brand and it's keeping with my brand. Now's a great time for me to do some of those things and make sure that the next time I go to an event, and the next time we're back up and running in June and July and August, that I've got all of those things in place so I can put my best foot forward at an event and really show up and say, here I am, and here's how you can find me. And they know it's all accurate and up to date.
That's so true. And here's the real bottom line of all this, you guys. Have a chart, have income producing calls on your log every single week. Make sure you're hitting your goals. Yes, your relationship building, but you're not going to get this done with a click. You're going to have to talk to people, whether it's going back through your past client list and saying, hey, we're doing something a little bit new, come get a touch up. Whether it's people that have been referred to you that you haven't talked to in a while. I talked to a couple people last week. I called them today, and all of them said last week they were scared because they hadn't established that online presence, and their jobs, some of them worked for schools. They had to be in front of schools. Well, schools are closed for 3 weeks. What do you think that's going to do to their income? So look at where you're at and get yourself on. But for those of you who are already there, have those lists, reach out to people on LinkedIn, start conversations. You've got lots of free time on your hands right now for a lot of you. So don't just sit there and be powerless and say, okay, well, I'm done with this. Reach out and do something and have those conversations.
Well, and now's the time where we expect that to be much more relationship driven and much more personal. So keep in mind that because the perception is that you're not as busy, that, business has changed. When I get a bot responding to me and I get a bot requesting information from me or pushing to me on LinkedIn, I'm way less likely to interact with it than I am if it's a person, especially at this stage. So be thinking seriously about how you're utilizing those services and those bots, and interject yourself in that process early enough that you can build the relationship at an early stage.
That is so true. So I'm going to give you an example. Scott introduced me to someone last week. He first suggested that I reach out to her. I did. I got bots. Then he made a personal introduction, and I continue to get bots
Yeah.
and dots. There's dots in my eyes. And I'm really disappointed by that because, that a bot, I'm not going to build a relationship with the bot. So I'm kind of done with the whole thing.
Right. And this is very common. So, but the other thing is I don't want you all to get overwhelmed because, business is going to be back up before we know it. And you're going to be going, wow, I don't have time for all this stuff that I set into place. Mm-hmm. So being really smart about it is something that I like. I like a strategy in place, which is why I don't worry about going viral or getting lucky, right? Back to our core topic here. I don't worry about it because I have a strategy for how I'm going about putting out both content, relationship building, networking, doing all of those things at once. There's a core strategy to it. So my podcast and my guest interviews are both an income producing activity. They're also a name building activity, so a brand building activity. They are also content generation in and of themselves, right? So that's an outreach after the fact. So that's how they're repurposed. So every single thing about them is very efficient. They're also on my calendar, forcing me to show up, be on time, and be consistent and constant. So are also holding me accountable for showing up and for doing all of that. And I had to cancel 2 this past week because I was a little sick, and I hate that. I can't stand it when I have to cancel them. And so of course I've managed to boost them up, and I'll do 4 next week to make up for it. But still, that I like being on schedule and I like being on time. And even though I know my content's I'm like already out into mid-April with my content production, I don't like to not be on time with my networking and my relationship building and my income producing activities every single week. These are important to me. And I utilize 2 to 4 per week for myself. That's my pacing. I don't have to worry about it because I don't bear all of the income producing burden of the company here, because I'm not in sales, right? That's a whole nother team, right? So I don't have to do that. I do it at a relationship, partnership, top building kind of in a different way. So, but you should think of that through. Is this going to be sustainable when I get busy again? How am I going to keep this going? And there's some foundational things and some learning curve that you want to get past right now. And this is a great time for you to spend some time to do that. But when you get past it, is it sustainable for you? At the end of the day, it needs to be something you can sustain with a busy schedule.
It is. And Scott probably could speak a little bit to that too, since he does 5 days a week with his show, but mine is already booked and pretty much recorded through mid-May. So I've already reached out and had those calls, but the core of mine every week are these. I have 10 calls, a minimum of 10 calls with either potential clients, power partners, or referrals. And that's something that everybody needs to be doing, not only right now, but as you extend out, because that's how you keep your business going when things get slow. Not only when things get slow, but just in general, people who say, okay, I'm going to buy next month, or I'm going to buy 2 months from now. You always need to have those income producing calls going on.
Well, and I also have to add to that is the other part that I add to my list of things that I do, and I consider them income producing activities, even though they're indirect. And that is, I make between 5 and 10 referrals every single week for other people. And because I do that, there's that law of reciprocity where it will come back to us. Yeah. And, 90% of our business is referral based. So we are always getting referrals on the other hand. So I feel it is my obligation in the world to make sure, and in our company, to make sure that I'm giving back, and I'm doing that on behalf of my business, because it has been so good to us. So thinking about what your great ways of being able to do that, sometimes you're not able to make those appointments in the same way. So find alternative ways to be able to sort of generate that goodwill and bring it back to you.
Yeah, even if it's just power partners, talking to them, because they're becoming aware of what you're doing, you're becoming aware of what they're doing, and so you have those top of mind referral sources. That's why I put them on my list every week, so that I know, who and where and what to send. So
I got signs up in my office. I'm laughing because the girls put up signs that says, "Don't talk about us." I'm like, then don't pop into our live stream.
Do we talk about them?
Evidently I did. I said Linnea's name, and then Vanessa was here, so she popped in. Evidently I did, because there's a big sign that says, "Don't talk about us."
Okay, so we should talk about Alexandra, because she hasn't pushed us back yet. No.
Well, especially because tomorrow's her big birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
She's a St. Patrick's Day baby, so tomorrow's her big birthday.
Oh, how fun. Oh, look, we can't pinch anybody.
I know.
Maybe we do a virtual happy hour where everybody comes online and we all toast.
That's right. Here, start drinking Quarantini, Alexandra.
Yes, that's right. So Scott, you're not drinking right now, are you? You're like on a little drink. We
have enough wine and alcohol till Gabriel comes. Forget the
Oh, okay. So grab the Quarantini. Chef Marie made us a special recipe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm excited for this time. I think, it's so funny, but everyone's like panicking about it. I'm excited. I think this is such a great opportunity for us to get some things taken care of, get some things in order in our businesses, and really everyone to move yourselves forward. Like, use it as the opportunity that it is, instead of, I don't even look at it as isolating. I look at it as like, I think I've talked to 6 people today, and it's only Monday. So the first day of quarantine, I probably talked to more people this Monday than I do on a normal Monday.
I probably have to, although I'm moving, so I got to pack. And I went hiking this morning. So I don't know. I'm waiting for moving day to come and everybody to go, oh, I have coronavirus. Sorry, you have to move yourself.
Let's hope that doesn't happen.
Let's hope that doesn't happen. I shouldn't.
Don't tell them how long it lives on cardboard boxes.
I won't. But you know what? Here's the deal. Yesterday was like history. I watched history stuff all day. I know y'all are looking, thinking I'm a Pornhub girl. I'm not. I'm a History Hub girl.
Wow, wow, wow.
Well, anyway, all of you, we'd love to hear from you. You guys got to reach out to us on Marketing Monday Mixers Facebook group, as well as on the Facebook page. You can always make a comment in this below this video. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you're working on. That's what we want to hear. We want to hear what opportunity are you going to use to get your online house in order. To get everything all lined up, to get everything all ready to go, so that when this is all over, you are going to hit the ground running.
Yeah. So Scott made an interesting comment over here. So Udemy, LinkedIn Learning, Fiverr.com are also ways to build warm leads. Do share.
So I've got several friends who have been using these online learning platforms to create mini courses that leads to clients coming into their portal. So like my buddy Larry Roberts, who runs the Readily Random podcast, he put together a short course on launching your podcast for $10. And he gets continuously about 30 to 40 people to sign up for that, which he then sells products off of it, like how to get a Media One sheet, and helps them with some of their tutorials, and then makes affiliate splits off of the sales of like webcams and microphones from his little course on Udemy. I got a buddy, Sebastian Rusk out of Miami, who went on Fiverr and realized you could post, hey, I'll be your podcast coach. I'll be getting things going for $300. He put his gig up for $300, not $5. And he's had a dozen people sign up for that in the last 8-9 days since Podfest.
Now, Scott, if I'm not wrong, LinkedIn Learning, though, requires an approval.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the only one. So
okay. Right, but still though, if you get some other places, if you can get approved with LinkedIn, great. You got a great thing on LinkedIn Learning as referral source, a free class or something because we've all got expertise in some niche that's valuable across the board, and we've done some of those smaller mini courses and stuff like that. Your 1-day summits or outlines and that kind of stuff, and with like what you can do with Eventbrite and some Facebook events and stuff like that. Hosting a half-day event or an online event is a lot easier than it ever used to be, and everybody can do it as a way to drive engagement more. Find your right clients. If you don't have a list, do some of those things that drive the right people that are looking for your stuff.
Love that idea. That's a great one, Scott.
So very true. And you all need a quiz. Not that I'm selling stuff today, but y'all need a quiz.
Y'all need to qualify everybody, right? That's like at the end of the day, right?
Right.
That is such an important part of the process is, when they go through their courses, they're qualifying themselves sometimes. They're like, our course is set up, my course is set up in a way that like people go, I don't want to do this. I'm just going to hire Tracy. Like that's part of the process of how it works. Not because we don't give them the tools, not because we're teasing them and we're not giving them everything. In fact, we do the opposite. We give them everything they need to do that we do. We tell them exactly what it is. We show them exactly how to do it, but it's a lot of work. So at the end of the day, they're like, yeah, that's the amount of time I don't want to spend. I'd rather just pay for that. And that's a choice, right? So you can choose how you want to present that out there. I'm not a fan of the teasing method of having the course be just not enough value. Like, I think a higher value is great at the end of the day. Like, at the end of the day, Juliet's course on how to do a quiz is great. But the real value that I've always found over time is her ability to help frame those phrases, get them right, and her working with you to do that. That's the value right there. So making sure that you're really demonstrating that in whenever you put out your course or any of your content for that matter, being sure that it's giving value, but also by it's demonstrating why you're of such great value.
Mm-hmm.
So
that is so true.
Yeah, Scott's got brilliant tons of ideas. That's his value. Like, we know that. So it's always out there in the world. Anyway, I'm excited about what's coming up for everybody. You got to look at this as an opportunity that it is. You got kids at home. We all have to deal with stuff like that. I got a dog that just doesn't know what she can think about the fact that everybody's working and everybody's at home today. She's driving me crazy. So, it's all going to be happening to everyone around you. So let's just go with it. Let's see what we can make of it.
That's great. So go get yourself a quarantini, lock yourself in your room and isolate after the kids go to bed.
That's right.
And just do it. So we're actually going to be adding on this next week. I'm pretty excited about this. Again, not planned. We didn't know. It was just part of the program. We're going to have Hani Mori on, and Hani has a platform called repurpose.io. And it's a great tool to be able to go through and take some of your old content and really refresh it and make it awesome. So definitely worth showing up for. We're going to kind of have a split show. I have a radio interview part of the way through. So I'm going to take part of the show. Hani's going to take part of the show. And Tracy's going to take part of the show. And I'm sure Scott will show up and take part of the show too.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll all be diving in. And I got to meet Hani for the first time at Podfest. I hadn't met him in person before. So it was great. And so I'm looking forward to it because there's nothing that I don't believe in more than it is to reuse and repurpose stuff that you've already done. So let's get the most out of what we're out of the work that we put into anything.
Absolutely.
And he's built an entire company around that.
Absolutely. Scott, you've used his product. Give us thoughts, please.
I love Hani. I think I might be his number one fan. For $25 a month, it will save you thousands of dollars in service that others are charging for. Plus, it'll save you hours and hours of time by helping you systemize your video, your audio, your podcast work, and it'll help you, as it says, repurpose, taking one piece of content like Tracy talked about earlier and turn it into 5, 10 plus different pieces of content that you can use throughout the week at different times across different platforms and really make it look like you're doing a lot more than you actually are.
So let me ask you this, Scott. Do you do this yourself or do you have your VA do it?
I originally set it up originally, and then the VA assistant jumped on there and did it, but he just updated it with a lot more updates. So I'm going back through it myself and retweaking some workflows and working through my KPIs and my plans and what we do when and where. So like you're going to see a lot more updates with us with our Instagram video and then some of our shorter videos on LinkedIn that we haven't been using as much to help us spend time on those platforms. You'll also be using some of the stuff they use to help us capitalize on our audience on Pinterest as well.
That is so cool. And if you guys have questions about what something should cost, I mean, Scott just told you, saved you thousands of dollars of vendors out there trying to sell you things. I know I had something recently that someone quoted me. I went back to Scott and said, hey, is this a reasonable cost? And he was like, absolutely not. So, don't be afraid to run it by us. Because if it's something that you can have a VA do, or it's something simple you can do yourself, this is the time to learn how to do it. Especially if you are running your company and you have to make videos so your new VAs know what to do, you should know how to do it if you have to pick it up.
Well, in this, that's a really good important point, Juliet, because I really always believe that there is a part of it, learning how to do anything where you try it and do it yourself. And Scott, I know, does this before you'll turn it over, you'll make a system, you'll hire someone, you'll put a VA in, because you do need to know what the critical factor for yourself is, right? Where is that critical factor where the choices that are being made need to be made by me? Like for instance, I will have a VA put together a list of shows that I might want to be a guest on, a podcast that I might want to guest on. But at the end of the day, I'm going to do the final vetting of that list before the reach out happens, because I care about the quality of the show and no one can choose that but me.
Mm-hmm.
So making sure that you find that for yourself is really critically important. So doing some of the little things on the way and getting your feet wet with it and then handing it over, that's a great way, a great strategy. I mean, that's how we built everything that we do in our systems in our business.
It is. So before we let you guys go this week, we have a couple people on. Do you guys have any questions for us?
Yeah.
They're going to be silent. No, come on. You guys aren't going to be silent, are you? You showed up. Nobody's typing. See if anybody over on Facebook Live has anything. Are you on Facebook Live, Tracy? Do you have?
I have. I started a watch party over here, so it's actually starting back at the beginning again.
Oh, okay. I
don't know if I can look at the live video comments.
Okay. So Scott, what is their business? What is their business focus? Do we want to let Nancy and Paul, I know some other people dropped off. Do you guys want to jump on real quick and tell us what you do? Let me panel you. Tell me if you don't want to be paneled. I'm going to panel Nancy anyway, because she promised.
Oh, she just dropped off. Oh no, there she is. Okay,
I
there
was
she
going to
is.
say, no.
I was like, did she drop off?
No, she promised she would be like camera ready this week. Nancy, tell us where you are. I mean, I know where you are and what you do because I talk to you, but tell everybody else.
Okay, so I'm in Arizona. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, and I'm a golfer. And my goal is to get in front of a lot more women and get them to write their own stories and speak their own truth. I think it's important that we do that, especially right now when God only knows what's going to happen. I've had a sore throat.
So my dad keeps saying that golfing is perfectly fine because it follows the social distancing rules. I'm just going to tell you that he is convinced of me. He's trying to convince me of that one. So I think you can go for it too. So at least you can still do that.
So I've had a sore throat last week because I went to a Dodger game Sunday. But I don't think that's where I got it. I think I have tonsillitis. Actually, is what I think I have.
I hear you, because it's like the minute you come down with a cold or something, everybody flips out like you must have some massive disease. My mother called me every hour on the hour. I was like, Mom, it's just a cold. Like, get over it. I'm fine.
Yeah. I'm trying just not to talk very much.
Yeah.
It does. It's kind of hurting. But so I'm starting a podcast and I'm thinking about adding video and getting people. My goal would be to what they write, and then offer services as an editor or a proofreader to them, but also help them share the word of their story. So like Tracy, I want to interview people. I want to talk to people. I want to hear your story. And Juliet, I totally blanched on our interview. I didn't realize you wrote a book about your ex-husband.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, it's not about him.
I killed him.
No, that's right. That's right. I'm sorry. It's not about him. Wink, wink, wink. Right. Okay. Yeah, totally botched that one. So we're over that. So my thing comes down to organizing it all and making sure I know my people before I talk to them, because now I got to have you back on to talk about that book.
So, Nancy, that's such a good point. It's like there's some really good tactics and techniques to being prepared ahead of time. And I have some people who do a fantastic job of it. And I have others who just wing it. And so, developing a strategy for how you're going to go and interview or how you're going to structure your show is part of that. So for instance, I'm a big researcher. Like I like to research people. I like to make sure. So I have a slightly more detailed form that I require someone to fill out when they're a guest on my show that gives me the places where I know I can find out more about them. So I make them give me their YouTube channel. I make them give me not just their social, and it's not just so that I can have their social handles so I can share it later. It's so I can do a little research on them. So making sure that you put that stuff in your prep allows you to be prepared. I used to use this, my assistant used to prep a lot of information for me, and she would pull out interesting articles or interesting videos, and she'd give me the top 5 things that I probably wouldn't have found without, a good half hour worth of work on my own. And she would just pull that there, and I'd be able to go through that the night before an interview, and I'd be able to spend an hour of prep watching and reading rather than doing the research portion of it. So you can utilize someone to assist you in that process as well. But it's such an important point. If you want to do a very thorough job, if this is your connection point, if this is the point of why you have a podcast or a video cast, then make sure that you build that process and time into it, because it's going to serve you really well in the end, Nancy. I can tell you that my show, The Binge Factor, part of it is that I interview top podcasters. In the process, they experience what it's like to work with my company in the outreach of what they receive on the back end. They see the professionalism of our blog posts. They see the graphic results. They see the automated emails. They're on the receiving end of it, that 9 times out of 10, they go, whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't realize you did this. Can we have a conversation about that now? So it is in and of itself that post-sales generator, but I do it by being very professional in everything I do, not by saying, hey, let's have, oh, by the way, can we have this conversation about my selling you my stuff? Like right at the end of our call. We never do that. We do it by delivering something that is of quality to begin with, that demonstrates who we are and what we do. And then they want to know more naturally. People are naturally curious. When they see something really good, they want to follow up on it.
Very true.
That's your place. I could see that.
Yeah, very true. Can I get Paul on here?
Yeah, let's hear Paul. How you
Let's hear
doing?
from Paul. I'm going to mute you, Nancy. I think. Can I mute you?
Yeah, she's
I'm not
muted.
sure. Okay.
Hello there. I'm trying to start my video, but it's not accepting me here.
That's okay.
Let me
That's a
see.
very handsome picture you have there.
It is nice.
Oh, I think I know why. I've got another program up and running. Anyway, I'll talk for a second while I delete this other program, and it seems to have captured my camera. And we'll see if we can start the video. Anyway, it's great to see you two young ladies today. There, now you can see me.
Hey, there you are.
I figured it out. I always love your Marketing Monday shows. I always learn a lot. And mostly, I really appreciate your positive energy and your message for today, which is take advantage of this change in business circumstances. Just a couple of hours ago, we here in the San Francisco Bay Area were put on a 3-week lockdown. So for the next 3 weeks, we're not supposed to do anything that's non-essential. So we can still go to the doctor, and we can still go to the grocery store, and we can still go to the bank. But, pretty much we shouldn't be doing meetups, and we shouldn't be, no movies, theaters, restaurants are closed. All the bars are closed. It's like shelter in place, as they say. The good news is we got plenty of food, and I'm a homebody anyway. It's like the old joke that says, as an introvert, I've been preparing for this moment my entire life.
Me too. Only I want to go hiking. I don't know what I'm going to do when they lock
Well,
down here.
I think that's still all right. I think going hiking, just maintain your 6-foot distance, and don't be hugging anybody you find on the trail. You'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be
Okay,
fine.
I think I'm good with that, except the mountain lions, like stay away. No.
Well, yeah, they may love you more than you want them to. That is
Here,
sure.
kitty. No.
Yeah, so Paul, what are you working on? Tell everyone, because you're working on some great stuff.
I am, in the process of launching a new personal development and stress relief program called Mind Sequencing. We've had really great results with our first 2 master classes. We're getting ready to start the next one pretty quickly. And for the last couple of weeks, and now for the next 2 or 3 weeks, I am in the process of recording and editing the Mind Sequencing Foundations course, which is a course which has about 20 different modules to it, anywhere between 8 and 20 minutes long. They take me from, an hour and a half to 3 hours to record and edit them the way I want to. I've done 8, so I've got 12 more to go, and I'm very excited about that. And I am in the process of getting ready to publish my next book called Surprises on the Road to Enlightenment that I am very excited about. Next step on that one is to get all of the photography done for the book covers, and that may have been delayed because I'm not sure we can consider that to be an essential thing of business. So we're going to have to go figure out a way to sneak somewhere and tell, hey, I got to get this book out because it's going to help a lot of people. So I'm really excited about mind sequencing and the power that we have to focus our attention, shift our energy, and lift our spirits anytime that we want. I teach people how to do that. And I'm really excited about the next book too, where I share, literally a lifetime of wisdom, a lifetime of all kinds of surprising things that I have learned along the way. Many of which, were like getting whacked over the head with a 2-by-4 until I finally figured them out. So, and I am thrilled, of course, to have the help of Tracy and Juliet as I take this next step on my journey.
Oh, and we're so proud of you.
Yeah.
What you've got going is a really great program, and you've done so much of the groundwork already. Like your audience, and you've been building your messaging, and you've been testing it. So you've been very methodical about how you go about things, and now is a great moment to take advantage because there's a lot of stress going on right now.
There is a lot of stress.
You can help a lot of people.
Well, and let me just offer a very simple mind shifting technique, a series of a sequence of thought and action that can help everybody who might be listening to this. One of the things that we teach people is that there is an extreme relationship between your body and your mind and your emotions. So if we want to feel better, we shift our body and we shift the thoughts that we are thinking so that we can feel better and experience life in the way we want to do that. So if we want to experience less stress, if we want to relax more, step number 1 is to just shift your body a little bit, sit up a little bit straighter, take a breath, just shake it all out, do whatever you can to move the energy through your body a little bit, and then think positive thoughts. A positive thought like, even though we're going through troubling times, I know that I will be okay. Even though I'm uncertain about what to do next, I have faith in divinity, I have faith in myself, I have faith in my team that we'll figure this out.
You know what I have faith in, Paul, because I know you, is that, this is exactly the time by which the exposure to these things really push out there, where someone goes, wow, that really worked for me. And they start sharing it at a greater pace. Right.
I love it.
Yeah. And that's exactly what you're doing. And, I've worked with Paul's techniques with one of my daughters, and it's amazing. Kids are really attuned to doing this normally. Like it's sort of instinctual for them. They're like, oh, we get that. Of course we want to wiggle and we'll get out of it and we'll move on to the next emotion. Right. So watching them is really helpful for you to learn how to do this yourselves. And it's part of why, we came when we realized how odd our topic was, or how, maybe in poor taste the title was, and when we first started this about getting lucky and going viral, we thought, what, this is an opportunity for us to just do that, to start to shift that and use that as a shocker, because what, it is time for us to be to look at necessity is the mother of invention. I love that.
Amen.
It's one of my favorite things out there. That I was just on the phone with my leadership team this morning, and I was saying they were like trying to squash people complaining. And I was like, no, I want to hear the complaints. I was like, we want to give it a constructive arena. Like, let's figure out a way to let them constructively release anger, frustration, all of those things. Because it is in releasing that, when they start to find out that they're not alone, that there's commonality, that great innovation will happen. Amen. And I truly believe that. And if we're all frustrated about the way the events work and the way things are happening in the world today, and now's the time for us to start thinking about, how can it be different?
Amen. How can we take advantage of this change in circumstances? Yeah. That's a cool technique. If anybody wants to learn more about mind sequencing, just go to mindsequencing.com. Take a look. There's an 11.5-minute video there that explains the entire system. If it's something that you're interested in, by all means, reach out and connect.
That
Thank
is
you,
so
Paul.
cool. You know, I think what's going on right now is such an amazing opportunity to assess the patterns that we have around anxiety, to assess the patterns that have us worried, especially if we have health, like underlying health issues. What led to that? Can I improve it? You know, is this my wake up call for that? I know I'm kind of looking at some patterns. Like I'll share my patterns, you guys. I eat chocolate when I'm anxious. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just sweets. I'm a sugar, I can't say that word on air, but I'm a sugar prostitute. Let's just say that. But
Sugarholic. Yeah, sugarholic.
yes, I'm a sugaraholic, but I would go down to the street corner and trade things for it. No, I'm just kidding. But that's a pattern I've become very aware of, because I look back at another time in my life when it was sort of that time of uncertainty and I'm seeing what can I do to clean that up, and actually thinking, is this the time to clean it up in the middle of this anxious situation, or should I be aware and clean it up later? So I think there's opportunities there for all of us to clean some stuff up.
Well, you know, this is the thing though, is that when we recognize the patterns, we're halfway there.
Amen.
So so really that's a great thing that you're recognizing that, Juliet. This is the one thing that happens. Like, look, we went through in one of our very first businesses, both a intellectual property lawsuit that lasted like 6 months, and it was devastating, and we won at the end of the day, and it still was devastating, which if any of you have been in the midst of a lawsuit, you know what I mean. And so all of that happened, and then just as we were coming out and looking positive, 9/11 happened in our business. Yeah. And so it's too easy to look at this kind of world change as a trigger. But there's a power to having survived it once.
Yeah.
And having come through that, and having gone through this place that says, I see that trigger, I see that pattern, but you know what? I made it through last time. In fact, I sold my company, and it took a lot longer than I wanted it to, and it was frustrating. But the reality is that I had put the same business practices and the same plans in place. And why do I need to look at my business any differently today?
Amen.
Yeah.
So let's all of us recognize those patterns. Let's move ourselves to something more opportunity for us to succeed, no matter what the future looks like, in all formats. And if that means getting more online and getting more consistent and constant and learning something new, then let's do that today. Let's make that happen right away. Take some action.
Awesome.
Okay, you guys, we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.